Let's talk about crypto. In this video, I'm going to talk about several different reasons why you should believe that crypto is the future and that's here to stay. So my arguments are going to be ranging from the least convincing to the most convincing. And I'll actually also reveal what got me over the line and me deciding that this is the future. Let's go. If you're new to this channel, I'm Mika Reyes. I'm a Filipino that grew up in the Philippines and then moved over to Silicon Valley. Now working on my own stealth startup, previously a PM at LinkedIn and at Kumu. I am in the throes of the tech world and as such the crypto world. Yes, I started off as a skeptic and decided not to jump into the hype cycles, but now very bullish on the applications of crypto because I see all these smart people, all these researchers, all these engineers building the future. But when I first started learning about crypto and diving head on, it was very difficult. I'm hoping that my series of videos about crypto can help any newcomer understand why and how to dip their toes as early as today, and hopefully make it more accessible for people outside of tech, especially underrepresented voices. We need all the different voices and perspectives shaping it, benefiting from it earlier than later. Let's start with my background in crypto. There are 3 ways that I'm involved. One, I've been investing since the boom in 2017, very passively, but believe in a few coins enough that I've gained a significant profit over time. Second is I've done a lot of research in crypto just for my personal sake. Third is vicariously living through other people. So my boyfriend who just signed that offer, I'm also in the crypto tech circles on Twitter as a big example, plus have joined a bunch of different communities within crypto spaces to understand what people are talking about, immerse myself in the scene, and just generally be part of the crypto community. So there's this age-old adage that the next big things are gonna look like toys. We can look at examples from history, right? People who were riding buggies and horses didn't know that they wanted a car. And cars started out as ridiculously luxury toys for the rich. And you could argue, of course, that some of the most popular social media apps, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, were toys for the younger generations, but are now also the most popular billion-dollar businesses of our century and widely adopted by kids and adults alike. So you could argue that crypto, especially in the way that it's being applied to NFTs and these weird profile pictures of animals in different colors, they'll start to look like toys today, but eventually grow into billion-dollar businesses. But hey, you might say, that's not a really great argument. There are lots of things that kind of look like toys, but ended up not being huge movements or things. So what are some signals that this particular toy, crypto, is going to be a successful one? There's this quote that was made about the internet about 20 years ago. By 2005 or so, it'll become clear that the internet's impact on the economy has been no greater than the fax machines. Ha! Interesting. Now, these were articles that came out at the time the internet, or the time what they called internet, was becoming a mainstream phenomena in 1994. See the amount of skeptics and people who didn't believe in its future. I also link a really awesome video illustrating the skepticism around the internet over here. And if you recall, here were the early days of the internet, rife with a horrible user experience and geared towards only a population that could understand what these links or text even meant, until eventually it became mainstream enough to entrench in our daily lives. Ha! Interesting. This feels a lot like crypto today. A lot of skeptics, a lot of, I don't quite know how to use this or what this is, and so let me reject it and take a step back. If we look at the adoption rates of cryptocurrencies and the internet, the picture looks almost exactly the same. We're still in its early innings, but given this growth rate today, see how we're projecting out the adoption of cryptocurrency wallets by 2030. Still a huge exponential curve. If you look at this graph, let's compare the growth of websites to the growth of crypto assets or the applications of cryptocurrencies. You'll see that the shapes are a little bit different, but not too far off. We see an upwards and to the right graph showing the promise that crypto still has to make. And lastly, if we zoom into 1990 to 1995, for internet user growth, compared to 2013 to 2018 in cryptocurrency user growth, you'll see that the graphs are almost similar. There's this huge inflection point in which it just grew dramatically. I expect that in 10 years, crypto will be so normalized and entrenched in our lives that in the next 10 years, hopefully this video becomes one of those things where people are like, wow, they had to make a video about that? Watch this space in 10 years. One of the slowest adopters of new technology, besides the government, are large institutions because of the bureaucracy involved and the reliance on traditional methods of doing things. And so you might be surprised if as early as today, any big corporations or institutions are even using cryptocurrency. Little did you know that there are already so many institutions and corporations that are integrating crypto as a form of payment or otherwise. Aside from payments though, a bunch of companies have also jumped into the NFT craze. Visa, for example, on top of using this crypto-linked card, which now has $1 billion in transaction, has also been one of the first institutions that bought NFTs and investing in NFTs as art. Kind of pretty cool. Another type of institution that is also usually slow to change are schools. Large institutions such as Harvard, Yale, Brown, University of Michigan have endowments that have invested in cryptocurrencies. I find this argument really fascinating because the institutions that are usually slowest to adopt these new forms of technology are very open to doing so. Large institutions know that there are some consumers that are adopting it or probably going to adopt it over time. And so they accept it as a form of payment. Now users see that and they're like, oh, I should also adopt it. And then the institutions will be like, more people are actually using crypto even more. Let's invest more resources into making it a reality. And it's a cycle and flywheel that will continue going. Similar to that argument is what I'll be coining the momentum law. So the momentum law states that after a certain threshold of people adopting new technology or new ways of doing things, then that momentum will just keep pushing to grow even bigger and bigger. We see this phenomenon happening in major household inventions. What we see is after a certain threshold of adoption, about 20% of US households in this graph, or about 50-60 million. Well, there's no stopping the continued adoption of a device. We also see this with many major social media platforms today. So for Facebook, for Instagram, for even TikTok, after about 50 million are using it, well, there's no stopping the momentum that grows it to 100 million, 200 million, a billion other users. At the time of this filming, we've surpassed the 50 million threshold and are actually about 200 million users of cryptocurrencies today. There's so many smart people that are working in crypto. The usual culprits who are working in the front lines of innovation, where engineers, scientists, and researchers are actually diving deep into the whole world of crypto. Large institutions are not only accepting crypto as forms of payment, but also funding researchers within their companies. Here's an example of Morgan Stanley funding a crypto research team. Here are some examples of Stanford and researchers fueling cryptocurrency technology, as well as research efforts in MIT. So it's a very interesting flywheel yet again, right? A lot of these founders then taking that research, making it more widely accessible to consumers or businesses. Founders are being funded by venture capitalists. A lot of these engineers, scientists, and researchers doing their research to go very deep in technology. And the missing piece here is actually there are a lot of celebrities that are also in the depths of crypto. The ones who are in the front lines of media, these respected people in their field, are adopting crypto in many different ways. Paris Hilton loves crypto, Kanye West, and lots more celebrities who are jumping into this crypto craze. So if all these respected people who are coming together in this awesome flywheel for cryptocurrencies in general, then it's another flywheel that just won't stop that momentum. On top of following where most respected people are flocking to, we can also follow the money. As mentioned, investors and large institutions, including schools and companies, are already putting a lot of their money and capital into cryptocurrency projects. One of the biggest venture firms is Andreessen Horowitz, or A16Z. They've invested in Airbnb, DoorDash, Lyft, Stripe. They specifically have a venture arm only reserved for crypto projects. Top schools are also pouring money into these investments. One of the biggest limited partners, or LPs as we call it, that are funding these funds to fund crypto projects are top institutions and schools like MIT, Harvard, Stanford, etc. These funds are millions of dollars in size, ready to deploy capital to DeFi projects, big and small. Now, the last argument I have, and the personal reason why I turned from skeptic to big believer in crypto, is this. Actually, the top retail users of crypto are not from tech circles and are not from the US. They're actually from emerging markets. So on a personal level, the way that I decide if this thing, this app, this new technology is existing beyond the confines of the tech bubble is if I talk to my friends in the Philippines or look at what's happening in the Philippines, where arguably the tech space is 10 years behind, so to say. And interestingly, a lot of activity in crypto is huge in the Philippines. Here's one example. Axie Infinity is a play-to-earn game that is powered by cryptocurrency. It's these cute Pokemon-like avatars and pets that you can use to breed more Axie or continue to play the game, but at the same time exchange that in the real world for real money. There's a whole documentary about it that I'll link over here. But TLDR, so during the pandemic, they played this relatively fun game, quit their jobs, and are now using this to sustain their livelihoods and their families. I find it so fascinating because it's one of the many applications of crypto in things outside of tech, so in the gaming world, but also applied to a population that wouldn't have been able to survive or get this access to resources without it. That's what personally took me over the edge, where I thought, like this crypto thing is still pretty tech bubbly. How do we know it's gonna reach a wide mass of users outside of the tech world? This is it. This is one piece of evidence. And if you look actually at the top countries that are adopting crypto today, the US, where Silicon Valley lives, is not in the very top. It's actually Vietnam. I'm personally most excited about how the applications of dApps and DeFi and crypto can create more economic opportunity for people who usually don't have those means. I'm excited about the intersections of crypto and the creator economy. These play-to-earn games, which are helping a lot of Filipinos and others in emerging markets earn a living. Very excited about the future of that. I'm so excited for the applications of this technology that is hopefully more global, more transparent, and hopefully in the future more widely accessible. Now, if you're still a skeptic even after watching this video, all I have to tell you is good luck. But if you finally feel convinced that crypto is the future and now thinking to yourself, how do I even get started? Good news is it isn't too late to get in the game. I'll talk more about how you can get involved in crypto and depending on your goals, different options for you, whether that's investing, building, or just the learning. And I'm especially gonna try to gear it towards underrepresented groups in crypto, women, minorities, and the like. If you're interested in learning more, subscribe for more. Send me suggestions for videos that you wanna watch or questions you want answered in the comments below. And for now, see you in the next video. Bye. Biggest